So I'm going to start with just a quick little bit of context so everyone can be starting from the same point on switches, just on specifically the different types of switches. So to start off, most people are familiar with what's called a single pole, single throw SPST switch. When you think about an on-off switch, this is what it is, right? We have a little light here, switches off. When you turn it on, it turns on, right? Very straightforward. There's also momentary versions of that, where when you click them, they only stay active as long as they're held down. So if you think about like a push button in real life, right? You hold it down to make something active, you release it to make it not active. You can then get into things called a single pole double throw switch. So this is where some people are familiar, the terminology gets a little different. When we say single pole, we mean that there's basically one circuit it's working on. When we say double throw, we mean that it can go into one of two states, right? So it's a single pole that we can throw between one or two different areas, right? Turning on two lights, for example. And then you can kind of cascade this kind of terminology all the way up to where you have now a DPDT, double pole, double throw. And this is the kind of terms you would use for shopping, whether you're shopping on Amazon or an electronic supply. And so as you're shopping for switches, this one would have two poles, right? Double pole. So we have a little small DC circuit down here lighting up an LED. We also have an AC circuit up here that's very high voltage, and they are completely separate. So one of these advantages of having this separate pole is that you can have two separate circuits running that still react at the same time. So here we have these two kind of switches built into one. If this was a physical switch, a single press would modify both of the circuits. So keeping that in mind, you could cascade that all the way up into like 5 pole, 5 throw. We're not going to get into that. But I wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page there before we move into relays.